This is CBC Late Night News.
Good evening, I'm Maribel Tarouk. A teenager fatally shot, 5 others injured. Police say more than 100 gunshots rang out last night as a Mississauga community enjoyed a sunny Saturday evening. 17-year-old Jonathan Davis died from the gunfire. He was a grade 12 student at Lincoln Alexander Secondary School. A small memorial is already growing in his apartment lobby. Police say he, like all the victims, was simply an innocent bystander. And a friend of his family says they are devastated.
Good kid, very quiet, didn't bother anyone. He was into video games, that's all he did. It's not like if he was out there on the streets or was a person that used to hang out anywhere. No, quiet, very helpful, respectable young man.
The shooting happened near Morningstar and Goreway Drive just after 6 p.m. yesterday, and multiple suspects are still at large. Police say it was an indiscriminate ambush-style attack. Our Adrian Chung has more on what happened and where the investigation stands.
Evidence markers dot the rain-soaked grass, pinpointing more than 100 rounds of gunfire erupting in this once crowded courtyard.
Oh, this is very brazen. This was a beautiful evening.
Dozens of families were drawn out to the courtyard by an ice cream truck and the warm summer weather. Police say at the same time, 7 masked suspects entered carrying semi-automatic guns. Their targets, a group of people filming a music video. But the shots flew everywhere as families ran for cover and safety. 6 people were shot, and 17-year-old Jonathan Davis was killed.
They come in indiscriminately and open fire on obviously a crowd that they were targeting, but they had no regard for any of the innocent people that were gathered in here last night.
The people who live here struggling to understand that any of their kids could have been shot and killed. This man ran towards the danger.
It literally just sounded like firecrackers, man, just non-stop. And it didn't stop, like almost 12 minutes of just non-stop guns. I have 6 kids, I'm a protector, I'm born like that, right?
I've been here 10 years. I can't do this no more, can't.
Gun violence continues to spread across the GTA. In August, the 3 levels of government committed to funding Toronto Police with an additional $4.5 million to boost police presence on the streets and to crack down on gun violence.
It's one of the reasons why I think we have to toughen up the gun laws, as well as things like the bail laws for people who are charged with gun offenses.
Now, Mississauga wants the same level of support from the provincial government.
But we know that this type of activity has no boundaries. They don't respect city boundaries. So I think it's time that we look at extending similar sorts of funding to other jurisdictions.
And in the thick of a federal election campaign, gun control is becoming a hot-button issue.
But I will highlight that we took some significant measures to strengthen gun control in the past mandate.
Amidst the planned crackdowns and promises of safety, the shootings and bloodshed continue. Adrian Chung, CBC News, Mississauga.
Now, the Peel District School Board says there will be support offered to staff and students tomorrow at Lincoln Alexander Secondary School, as well as at other schools in the neighborhood.
Hi, sir. I'm one of your local Green Party candidates. Can I give you one of my cards?
Coming up, we tag along with a few local candidates on the federal election campaign trail and find out how effective they think being face-to-face with voters is during an election. That's a little later in our newscast. Well, hundreds in Mississauga showed up to celebrate their hometown hero today. Officials gave U.S. Open champion Bianca Andreescu a key to the city and unveiled a street sign in her honor. Kelda Yoon has the highlights from the She the North rally.
Make some noise for Mississauga's Bianca Andreescu!
It was a celebration fit for a champion. Thousands of fans crammed into Celebration Square to honor Canada's brightest new tennis star.
She inspired me to believe in myself, and I wanted to be here because I believe in her too.
Andreescu became the first Canadian to win a singles Grand Slam championship last Saturday, beating Serena Williams in straight sets. Today's celebration started with some chanting, led by Mississauga Mayor Bonnie Crombie.
She the North! She the North!
It didn't stop there. Toronto Mayor John Tory took the stage with his new T-shirt.
It's one thing to win a major sports championship, but it's another thing how you do it.
Justin Trudeau also praising Andreescu for her grace.
She is an inspiration to all Canadians, old and young.
Then came the big moment, Andreescu being presented with the keys to the city and helping to unveil a new street sign, Andreescu Way.
I am very humbled to celebrate this moment with all of you here today and with everyone at home. This is only the beginning.
Christian Robert Thordyke was front and center for it all.
It just shows you that no matter who we are, you can just achieve great and amazing things.
These group of girls also equally inspired.
As a tennis player, when you see Bianca winning something like the US Open, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking she's a young player, so I can maybe someday be like her. She inspired me to come here, and she inspired me if I don't know how to do something, keep trying, and then I'll know how to do it.
On that, Andreescu has these fitting words.
All I can say is if I can do it, if Serena can do it, if Roger can do it, if the Raptors can do it, so can you.
Andreescu won't get much rest. She will be back on the tennis courts later this week to resume training. And her next stop, Beijing, where she will be for a tournament at the end of the month. Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Mississauga.
Well, celebrations continued near Dundas West and Dufferin today as legendary boxing gym Sully's held its grand reopening.
Purpose really is to get the message out as to what we want to achieve here, and really that's supporting the youth in the community to provide them with a safe place to be, provide them with skills that translate well beyond just boxing.
Sully's has been around since 1943, moving a handful of times. They were forced out of their former location in March and struggled to find a new home. The gym is best known for hosting boxing heavyweights like Muhammad Ali as he trained for his legendary fight against Canadian boxer George Chuvalo. It's also well known as a positive space for young people who love to box. Well, let's take our first check of the weather today, and we'll join Marta with that. Hi, Marta.
Hi, how's it going?
Pretty well, pretty well. A little bit cooler today than it was yesterday.
Yeah, but I do have some good news in store. I'll tell you about that a little later. Let's talk about tomorrow, though. There's a chance of showers in through the morning. Looks like that overnight, 16 degrees, and the showers continue in through the morning hours, but by the afternoon it heats up to 20 degrees, which is just slightly below seasonal at 21 degrees for this time of year, but the sun is there. I'll tell you, this system is pushing through. That's what's causing that slight chance of showers in through the morning on Monday, but then this high pressure area pushes in, and it's really going to be a nice couple of days. So that's really good with the temperatures 20 degrees in Toronto, 22 in Peterborough, 21 in Kingston, areas around the GTA also really nice. This ridge is building in and it's protecting us a little later in the week. There are going to be some showers in through northwestern Ontario, and that's where we're going to see some of that activity. But again, this is protecting the southern parts of Ontario, and through Tuesday, 22 in Toronto. So the temperature is building. Newmarket 23, Guelph 23, Hamilton 23 as well. But I don't want to give away too much. There will be a little bit more in through the show. I'll give you a little sneak peek though. There's going to be some higher temperatures approaching 30, and that's going to be a little bit later in through the week around Thursday, but I'll give you that sneak peek later on in the show.
Okay, we'll see you in a bit. Thanks, Marta. It is undoubtedly one of the oldest music shops in the country, and it's getting close to closing its doors forever. We'll take you to Wilson and Lee Music Store in Oshawa a little later in the show. With the federal election just over a month away, campaigns are kicking into high gear. For many, that means hitting the pavement. But in 2019, is face-to-face the best way to secure a vote? We followed 3 candidates around the riding of Spadina-Fort York to find out. The Conservative Party candidate declined to participate.
Hey guys, I'm the local Green Party candidate. Can I give you one of my cards?
So let's start down here and move back.
Hi.
Hi, I'm the NDP candidate this federal election.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Sign go up. I don't think there's any substitute for going door to door. It's the best part of campaigning. You get to meet residents and voters and talk to them one-on-one. And that's important. People want to be engaged on their terms, where they live, and they want to see you. How are you, love? I knock on every door. Every voter has a right to meet their candidate, and I like to talk to people who may not have supported me and find out why. Campaigns are short and the ridings are big, and so you have to use all the new techniques as well as the tried and true techniques.
Hey guys, I'm your local candidate for the Green Party. One of the challenges in our riding is that it's so condo heavy. So what we do here when we canvass in Spadina-Fort York is we do street canvasses mainly. As a Green Party person, we wear green, so we're all the same color and we spread out within a certain area. So even if we don't reach everybody, visually they see us. They see us from the condos and the balconies above, and then they see the cards, and eventually they find out who we are. So we're not trying to actually sell you on a platform here on the street. I just want to introduce myself. What was your name, Dean, by the way? Sir, nice meeting you, thank you. The thing about social media is filtered. You're going to engage, and sometimes those engagements are not the most fun, but they're the most honest. And it makes you really think, and we get a lot of ideas from people too.
Do you get one of these? Cool. I'm a first-time candidate, right? So, introduce myself, but also, hear from them, right? Like a few weeks ago, someone showed me the mold in their apartment hallway, and they were like, but I live here because I can't afford to find anything else that is within my price range, right? Like, you don't get that kind of interaction, I think, on the phone.
You're in this riding?
Yeah.
I'll get my vote.
Okay, amazing. We don't skip doors because there's a lot of turnover in downtown Toronto. There are a lot of new people, and there are a lot of people who might have gotten citizenship recently, and I think that it's important to, even if they might not vote, to have that connection.
Conservative leader Andrew Scheer announced what he is framing as a universal tax credit. It claims to give the biggest benefit to those with low and moderate incomes. CBC's Salima Shivji explains.
So you've got your forms out already.
Months ahead of tax season, Andrew Scheer chose this BC couple's living room to make a campaign promise he hopes will hit home.
I wish I could say life has gotten easier for Canada's middle class, but it has not.
A quick jab at his Liberal opponent before outlining his solution, lowering the tax rate for the lowest income bracket from 15% to 13.75% over the next 4 years. More disposable income for voters, less revenue for Ottawa, eventually amounting to a loss of about $6 billion a year, says the parliamentary budget officer. The Conservatives have long championed broad tax cuts. This one is not as dramatic as the one Stephen Harper promised to get elected in 2005.
We are going to give consumers a tax cut that no politician can take away.
Slashing the much-hated GST, but it's in the same spirit. And in line with Scheer's message of more money in voters' pockets. In 2005, Justin Trudeau made a similar promise in another family's living room.
Making sure that families like yours have all the opportunities they can to succeed.
A tax cut to the second income bracket aimed squarely at the middle class. Scheer's version will reach more taxpayers, even the wealthy, but not everyone equally.
If you earn less than the top limit on that first bracket, then you don't get the maximum full benefit of the tax cut.
The other open question, how this tax cut squares with the Tory promise to get rid of the deficit in 5 years.
We're going to get back to balanced budgets while we find ways to lower taxes, put money back in the pockets of Canadians. In the coming days, we'll be showing Canadians exactly how we're going to protect core services, balance the budget, and lower taxes.
No clear answer from Andrew Scheer. He's hoping people will stay focused on the tax cut and not possible cuts to services that could be needed to pay for it. Salima Shivji, CBC News, Ottawa.
Every year, film buffs pay close attention to the winner of the People's Choice Award at TIFF. Past winners have gone on to win Best Picture at the Oscars. As Yelena Adzik explains, this year's winner is a more unconventional choice.
Few films at this year's film festival has sparked as much discussion and debate as the People's Choice winner, Jojo Rabbit. That's because the somber setting is Nazi Germany, but the tone is cheeky and comedic. Jojo is a young boy who idolizes Hitler. The writer and director of the film, Taika Waititi, also stars as the dictator, commanding dark humor.
Hi, Adolf.
What's wrong, little man?
They call me a scared rabbit.
Let them say whatever they want. People used to say a lot of nasty things about me.
Sam Rockwell and Rebel Wilson are leaders of a Hitler youth camp. Scarlett Johansson stars as Jojo's cheerful mother, who is secretly hiding a Jewish teenager in their attic. After hearing that his movie won the top award, the director had this to say.
It just reminds me that there's still room for stories like this, and we need to continue to tell them, and we need to continue to educate our kids and ourselves and remind ourselves that there's no place in this world for hate and intolerance.
The people who voted for this movie to win agree. Olivia Fideli is a Ryerson University film grad who explains the draw.
I think he pulled it off very well. Of course, that's a hard topic to tackle, but throughout the production design and the commentary, and there's also not just commentary about the Nazis and Hitler, but things that are happening in today's society, which reflect back to that time, and history repeats itself. So,
as for the winner of the Best Canadian Feature Film at TIFF, that honor goes to Antigone. This is a reimagining, modern-day take on the ancient Greek tragedy. The filmmakers behind this movie wanted to get a message across about the injustices that happened to immigrants, and they're really pleased that many people will see the movie now that it's won the Canadian Best Feature. Now, another film to note is one called The Cave. It won the People's Choice Best Documentary Feature, and it is a really deep and compelling story about women who run an underground hospital in Syria. The annual awards wrap up the Toronto International Film Festival for another year. Yelena Adzik, CBC News, Toronto.
Year after year, thousands of Canadians participate in the Terry Fox Run across the country to fundraise for cancer research. The athlete's legacy has lived on through the annual event. And though the inaugural run took place nearly 40 years ago, it continues to inspire Canadians to this day.
And Terry Fox is an inspiration for everyone, and our kids have at school learned about him and they've become very inspired. My daughter actually offered to donate money from her birthday money for Terry Fox Run this year.
Well, obviously the red shirt suggests I'm a survivor, and we're here to continue Terry's dream because the way to meet cancer head on is with research, and so we're here to support that dream, get research funds, and just to show people that people are now living longer, surviving more, and providing hope. That's the big thing too. I think hope's probably one of the bigger things.
So everybody who grew up in the 80s remembers the whole Terry Fox story, and I remember watching on TV when I was little, and so we've done this every year with our family.
Imagine living a life with that much meaning. Just that one single act, showing that moment, being courageous. He's Canada's greatest athlete. I totally believe that. I remember specifically when Terry Fox came through Toronto in 1980. It was an incredibly important part of my youth. A great example for Canadians.
And of course, people turning out regardless of the weather today, Marta. But you were mentioning we might have a bit better weather in store.
Yes, it's coming. That late summer heat is coming. I'll tell you a little bit later, but let's start off with Monday morning. 16 degrees. I mean, it's that time of year where you start the morning in a sweater and then you got to take off those layers and have your t-shirt because it heats up to 20 degrees in through the afternoon. A quick look at the forecast conditions for Monday. As I mentioned, Toronto warming up to 20 degrees. The chance of showers in through the morning hours, but throughout Ontario looks like nice temperatures for Monday. Tuesday, a closer look at the GTA, 22, so that heat is building. Newmarket 23, Guelph 23, Hamilton 23, so it's getting a little bit warmer. And we're going to omit the rains. They're going to be coming in through the northwestern parts of Ontario. This front slicing through, bringing that chance of showers in through the northwestern part. What's protecting us here, though, is this high, this ridge that's building, and it's going to sit over the lower Great Lakes, so protecting us from that rain. A quick look at the 3-day forecast for areas surrounding Toronto. Quick look there, and then Kitchener, Burlington, Markham, and Pickering, but the heat is building, and it's going to be building in through a later part of the week. That's where we're going to see that late taste of summer. A 7-day look at Toronto. Again, starting off the week, but look at these numbers building. 26, feeling like 31, 26, feeling like 32, so that's closer to the end of the week, and it's looking really nice for that late little week there.
Yeah, for the back end of September, pretty good. Thanks a lot, Marta.
No problem.
Well, for nearly a century, Wilson & Lee has been the spot in downtown Oshawa to buy everything from musical instruments to CDs to vinyl records. Now, the third generation in their family to run the business, brothers Bill and Dave Wilson, are retiring. CBC's Daniel Clark has more on a tough goodbye.
Just like their grandfather, Bill and his brother Dave show up to work every day in suits.
This is my grandfather, who was a blind piano tuner, trained at the Canadian National Institute for the Blind.
Wilson & Lee started with pianos and grew to include other instruments, vinyl records, CDs, and DVDs.
I always looked after the recordings. So the records, 45, 78s, LPs, and that's my love.
What's your favorite vinyl record that you have in the store right now?
My favorite vinyl? Oh, I'm a big Rolling Stone fan. Well, let's go here. Where is it? It's probably Hot Rocks, if I still got it. There it is. Hot Rocks. I saw them in Maple Leaf Gardens in 1975, I think it was.
One reason they're closing, times have changed.
The people, when we were growing up, I mean, the first thing they could do is like Bryan Adams, to get that guitar. Elvis Presley to get a guitar. And I don't see the same desire today. I mean, we got some great people coming up, but nothing like we used to.
What do you love about playing the guitar?
I
I love just the music.
You can take a guitar to Japan. You don't have to speak the language. You just pull out the guitar and start to play. Everybody understands that. Being able to come in and browse and strike up a conversation, not all retail outlets give you the opportunity to do that anymore. And they have such knowledge, such vast knowledge. It's a shame. I know why, but it's still a shame. It's a chapter closing.
You're going to miss him.
I will, yeah.
Since the time I've been 14, this has been part of my life. So try to take 52 years of doing something and ask somebody what it's like without it. I don't know.
Nearly 100 years of music history, writing the last draft of their final verse. Daniel Clark, CBC News, Oshawa.
Real community institution there. That is our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching. Have a great night, everyone.